Hello, 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 happy crafters. It's me, Lisa, and do you see this awesome little horsehead wreath? Isn't it adorable? Well, this is what it looked like when I got it. It was $13.50 per wreath, and well, they're a little bit less than what I was expecting. So I have to figure out a way to DIY a horsehead wreath this year because I really want some new horsehead wreaths, and these guys are too small. So if you've been searching on Temu and you've seen these tiny little horsehead wreaths and you're needing something larger, I would highly encourage you watch this video, and I'm going to show you how you can DIY a large horsehead wreath for your Christmas decorating this year.
It all just goes away. Things I plan to say. Oh baby.
Okay, to get started, I'm using some foam board from the Dollar Tree. Now you can use different wreath forms and stuff like that to make wreaths like this, but if you have a large solid piece of either cardboard or foam board, it will work just as well. And actually for this project, it's really easy to do. So the first thing I did was come up with my pattern, and basically I was thinking of like a candy cane shape, and then I just did the horse neck and the head, and that was pretty much it. And just by adding little dots onto the foam board, it was easy for me to actually see the pattern kind of take shape. This really isn't that difficult if you take your time. Now I do want to have two horsehead wreaths, but I only had one piece of foam board, so I went ahead and used a big piece of cardboard that I had to cut out another wreath form. And then I brought them up into my craft room, and I'm going to be doing one wreath at a time. Now I found these awesome boxwood squares on Amazon. I will leave a link in the description box below. These squares make this project so easy. You can see it's going to take 3 squares to cover up my wreath form, but it also does take a lot of hot glue. So I started by putting a bunch of hot glue onto my cardboard horse, and then I just secured the boxwood pieces in place. Now, this is a really affordable option if you want to have a wreath like this. I think I got 10 or 12 of these squares. They're 12 by 12 squares for less than $20. So I just put those boxwood squares on top of the cardboard wreath form that I had made. And I found it easiest to work in sections. So I'm starting off with the head, and once I have them securely in place, I flipped over my wreath form and I just cut the back off of the boxwood square. Just like that. So I did that with all the pieces that were hanging over the edge of my cardboard. And this is what it looks like. It does need to be a little bit fuller, but right now I'm just going to focus on getting those boxwood squares onto the front of the horse. And I found that by pushing up that square, once I had it in place, it kind of spread out the glue a little bit more. So now all I have to do is remove the remaining edges, the pieces that are hanging over off of the cardboard section of the wreath. And you can see I'm just using regular scissors to cut these boxwood squares. They are really easy to work with. And once I had that all done, then I used the excess pieces from the boxwood squares that I had cut out, and I just filled in any blank areas of the horse head with those little tiny pieces. This was a little bit tedious, but I think it's well worth it in the end because then it just looks really full. Looks pretty cool. Looks like we have a horse head already. Now, one thing I should have done that I didn't do with this wreath form was I should have painted the front first. So on those little wreaths that I got from Temu, the bottom or the base is painted green. And I noticed that while I was making this wreath. So I did go ahead and paint the back. And then when I was using the foam board, I painted the entire wreath form prior to putting on the boxwood. It just makes it a lot easier so you don't see as much of that cardboard behind it. Now, once I was done with that, then I just started applying different random pieces that I had. These are a lot of fern fronds, and some of these came from the Dollar Tree because this is going to make up the horse's mane. So I just applied them to where a horse's mane would be, and also the forelock, like his bangs that hang down. And I just used little tiny pieces of remnants of other projects. So like these little grass pieces, I just grabbed a bunch of them and glued them together and then just pushed them into the horse's mane. I also had these, I think these are like asparagus ferns or something, and I did the same thing. I just kept layering different foliage on top of the prior layer of foliage onto the horse's mane to give it a really full appearance. And then I took some pine pieces or branches and I put those in as well. Those work really nice and give it a little different color along with all of the other pieces of foliage that I used for the horse's mane. I don't think there's a right or wrong way how to do this. I think you just make this whatever you want it to be for you and for your decorating. But I've seen these horsehead wreaths on Etsy and they're like $220. So this is a lot more affordable than $220. And I actually made 2 wreaths. And once I had those little pine pieces in place, then I just randomly added some more of those fern fronds and again, remnant pieces just to make it look nice and full. Now, once the horse part was done and the mane was done, then I did want to add a halter, and I had this red ribbon that I had gotten from Hobby Lobby, so I just secured some red ribbon to the front of the horse. So I'm going to start with the nose band. And then I went with the side piece of the halter that I'm making. Now, if you wanted to, you could add a brow band or the throat latch, but for my horse, I wanted it to be simple, so just the side cheek piece and the nose band, and I was happy with that. Now, once that hot glue had set up, I flipped the horse over and I secured the ribbon to the back of the wreath form. I repeated the process with the cheek piece or the side piece of the halter too. And once I had finished that, I'm going to be hanging my wreaths outside, so I do want to protect the back. So I'm going to use some Mod Podge to seal everything up because I don't want my wreath to fall apart once I put it outside if it gets wet. It will have the protection of the overhang of my garage, so it's probably not going to get really wet, but I didn't want to take any chances, so a big coat of Mod Podge went on the horse. And once that was dry, I flipped the horse over and I attached a button to the halter. And here is my awesome little wreaths. Oh my goodness, look how pretty these are. I think they turned out fabulous. I'm so happy with the results, and these are way better than the wreaths that I found on Temu, and they cost just a little bit more to make.